Hello there my friends and welcome back to the Scott Ree Project. Now today I have got another vintage clip I would like to share with you. This time the date is the 2nd of June 1953, which was Coronation Day. It was the coronation of our present Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, who was at the time the monarch of the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the Union of South Africa, Pakistan and Ceylon. Now Elizabeth ascended the throne at the age of 25 following the death of her father King George VI. Now it was the first coronation to be televised and there were thousands of celebrations around the country. But in the small Herefordshire market town of Ledbury, they celebrated it in fine old style with a traditional ox roast. Now, everything that happened on that great day was filmed by a local townsman by the name of Jack Toe. As you can imagine, the film was very well received. But like all things in life, it was eventually relegated to the drawer like we all do, and then eventually went into the attic. And that was in 1953, and it stayed in the attic until 1985, 32 years later, when it was unearthed by a local farmer by the name of Jack Parry. He passed the film on to a local shop owner and a builder by the name of George Hill. He then passed it on in the early 90s to a local filmmaker by the name of Beverly Smith, who lovingly restored it. I mean, that's just an amazing story on its own. You know, it was filmed, left in an attic 32 years, someone found it, it was passed on to another guy, and it was passed on to another guy. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, I digress. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail as I don't want to spoil the film that is coming for you, but these great men built a ox spit right in the middle of town, and the beast was donated by a local farmer, I think, and the local butchers in Ledbury cooked it. It's safe to say it was an eventful 48 hours. Now, I know Ledbury really well. It's just down the road from where I live, about 30 minutes away. And I have done a bit of work in Ledbury there for the local butchers who are still there, the Wallers. Shout out to Matty and Nathan Dave. And it's great to see in this film the great thriving town as it still is today, I suppose. Just a great market town, busy, people using local shops. Absolutely fantastic. But what you're going to see is another wonderful glimpse into the past. And I want you to pay particular attention to the beautiful narration of George Hill. Now, George Hill was the guy that took this original film and gave it to the filmmaker. And he narrates over this and he records with sentiment and pride that glorious day. And to be honest with you, when I watch this film with his narration, it is absolutely fantastic. So I must have watched this clip a dozen times or more. You know, I never tire of it. And when I sit and watch this amazing glimpse into the past, which was filmed from the laying of the very first brick of the spit to the first carving of the roast ox, you know, I think of all those men and women that made it possible, who are now sadly, obviously, no longer with us. But that is one of the reasons why I want to share it with you, as it needs to be seen by a wider audience. You know, this is the kind of thing you don't see very often anymore, if ever. And what really strikes a chord with me about this film is the sense of community, everybody coming together and getting involved. And like I said, George was the local builder. He supplied the bricks and mortar. You see everything in this film. And he can remember the name of everybody who contributed on the day with fondness, which just adds to the whole viewing experience. So my friends, in memory of that great day and all the people that made it happen and all the townsfolk who joined in, reportedly 7,000 over 48 hours, here is that great film. A whole roast ox Coronation Day, Ledbury, Herefordshire, UK. Enjoy.
I'm old and I'm sentimental, so a lot of things go through my mind, but what I'm delighted you're giving me the chance to do is to show a sort of thin, narrow slice through a very lively community, a thin but accurate slice of just what happened in 48 hours in 1953. That's Charlie Baldwin and Harry Herbert in our building yard loading the sand and the cement, ready to go down the town into the high street to build the fireplace. Here they are arriving at the site that we chose for the fireplace. The town surveyor did ask that we didn't set light to the tarmac. So there were no specific guidance given to the bricklayer and mate. They worked it out for themselves, and there they are, deciding where to put it. Since about 10 or 12 yards away, there's an Elizabethan market house, which is quite well known. They had to put it far enough away not to set fire to the market house. I'm sure you're going to ask me, what is the significant thing? And I shall tell you. You study that video as much as you like, and there is no precaution taken against theft or vandalism. We built that thing over a week in the main street. All the materials were delivered on site and just piled there. We didn't put a fence around it. We didn't even put a rope around it for a week. And it was completely untouched. At the last moment, somebody said, you know, we're going to get a lot of people around that fire and it'll be hot. And somebody said, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get some old oil drums and put them round with a stake in the middle and half fill them with rubble, and we'll put a rope round. A rope. And that was all we did, to keep between 2,000 and 3,000 people away. That's Jack Hopkins, who built the spit, whose men built the spit. And that's Dave Rosser, who gave the beast. And the mayor could be relied upon to make a speech. I remember we lit the fire about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Dave Rosser did that. That's Jack Hopkins loading the fire. And Jack Swathes, or Bert Swathes, coming around the corner. British champion in the Trilby hat. That's Harold Wills, the bank manager, in the glasses. That's Clive Tutt, John Masefield, Huey Hewitt. That's Basher Groves, Dr. Groves, and Cyril Clem. Dr. Groves picked up Norman Weston, who was a little chap, held him up to see it. Gosh, that fire was hot. We couldn't have used solid fire bars, we had to use tubes so that the air went through them and kept the temperature down. There's Boy Bennett and Leslie Farr. Oh yes, I know them all. Absolutely. There's Joyce and James Murray, Bob Jukes and his wife, Ginger Coe, Jack Parry, House Turner, Dave Rosser, Bruce Blandford. That's Sheila Alexander, the Carnival Queen, and Huey Hewitt behind her. How it all comes back. Well, well.
Jack, of course, was up at the crack of dawn and went down to do filming very early in the morning because the ox was brought down, I believe, from Churchill's down the High Street. And as you'll see on the film, there's very few people about at that time. And the fire was lit, and Jack filmed all that.
The problem was to stop the spit revolving, but the carcass staying in one place. So there were complicated cross braces, as you can see, and they didn't work. We had a dickens of a job later in the day. The butchers who took part were Charlie Churchill, Harry Couples, Nordy Kington, his father Doug Kington, and Harold Lewis. So they're all there. That was Charlie Churchill. That's Doug Kington on the left in the glasses. Harry Couples doing a bit of basting. My word, that was a problem, because the heat of the fire was so enormous. We'd constructed the trestle so that you could draw the beast back 6 feet from the fire or roll it up close to it. That's Jim Smith, the photographer. That's an early example of a commercial, you will notice, for the Cerebos salt. I wonder if we can get sponsorship. That's a cocoa broom, price 1 and 3. And worth it too. That's John Masefield. That's Bill Masefield adjusting the wheel. It's amazing where the crowds came from. People have said that there were over 2,000 people there at any one time, and I should think that's possible. I think that might be me doing the wood cutting. That's Cyril Clements just arrived. Yes, we had to keep turning the beast, and we had to keep backing it off away from the fire to stop it burning on the outside while remaining raw inside. So it was considering that nobody had any experience to draw, and it was quite amazing how well it tasted. The first slice was cut by Dave Rosser, I think, and Sheila Alexander, who was given the first not very ladylike sandwich. We had 2 sets of carvers made. They had to get an old cutler in Sheffield out of retirement to make them. He could remember. And both sets of carvers are still in Ledbury. But we don't often get a joint big enough to practice on nowadays. That's Jack Parry and Harry Couples and Harold Lewis, the 2 butchers. And that's Dave Rosser, who gave the beast. It's A.R.C. Turner. And that's Dr. Groves. But there's been no ox roast that I know of since, although, funnily enough, in Queen Elizabeth's biography, the present Queen's biography, which we were reading when we were away, there was a mention of the government having made provision for oxen to be roasted for her coronation. So there must have been others.
Well, my dear friends, what a fantastic clip. It really was an amazing insight into just a way of life, I suppose, in 1953, you know, and George's narration, you know, naming every single bloke was just amazing. That's all I can say, really. It really, really made that film. And he rattled these names off as if it was yesterday, which I think is fantastic. So my friends, just before I let you go, I just want to say this event was repeated on the 2nd of June 2013 to mark the 60th anniversary of the Queen's coronation. Hey, absolutely class that is. And again, this thriving Herefordshire market town of Ledbury got out the ox carvers, fired up the spit, and away they went again. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway, thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. You know the drill. Click subscribe. Check me on my social media, Facebook, Scott Reed, The Scott Reed Project, and on my Twitter at The Scott Reed Project. So, until next time, be sure to watch us again. It is a work of art. All the best.